All right, welcome back to another deep dive. Continuing our series on finger analysis, this one's pretty wild.
Hmm.
Get this. Your finger length could actually tell us something about how jealous you get.
Oh, wow.
Remember that 2D.4D ratio we talked about?
Yeah.
The length of your index finger compared to your ring finger?
Right?
Well, scientists think it could be linked to how much testosterone you were exposed to way back in the womb.
So, like, it's set before you're even born.
Yeah, pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Today we're diving into a study from the Nordic Psychology journal.
Okay.
It's called In Search of Moderators of Sex Differences in Forced Choice Jealousy Responses. Effects of 2D.4D digit ratio and relationship infidelity experiences.
That's a mouthful.
I know, right?
Okay.
Basically, researchers used finger length measurements to try and get a handle on how people respond to jealousy.
Interesting.
It's actually building on some earlier research, which makes the findings even stronger. And get this, it's done in Norway.
Norway.
Yeah, one of those gender-equal countries in the world. So we've got Norway, finger lengths, jealousy.
How's that all connected?
I know. Where do we even begin?
Well, evolutionary psychology has some interesting ideas.
Okay.
It suggests that jealousy, way back in the day,
Yeah?
might have been crucial for protecting relationships
Uh-huh.
and ensuring, reproductive success.
I see.
Back when we didn't have, like, paternity tests and all that, it
Yeah.
was a different world.
Like a built-in relationship alarm system going off when something's not right.
Right. Exactly.
So did this study just, like, measure everyone's fingers and then ask them how jealous they get?
Well, not exactly. It was a bit more sophisticated than that.
Okay.
They asked people to imagine different scenarios involving infidelity.
Like cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had to rate how distressed they would feel in each situation.
Clever.
It's a pretty clever way to tap into those emotional responses,
So what did they find? Did they find people with, like, super long ring fingers were just, like, green with envy all the time?
Well,
Spill the tea.
not quite that straightforward. But they did find that men consistently reported more distress from sexual infidelity than women.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and there was a correlation with finger length, too, lower 2D.4D ratio.
So a longer ring finger compared to the index finger.
Right.
Okay.
They were linked to higher levels of sexual jealousy.
So that means longer ring finger equals more jealous.
It was especially pronounced in men.
So is that like a hard and fast rule now? Should we all be checking our partner's fingers?
No, not really.
Okay.
The most important finding was that your biological sex was a way stronger predictor of jealousy than finger length.
Okay.
It seems like men, no matter what their fingers looked like, were just more likely to be upset about sexual infidelity.
Okay, so it's more about being male or female, not just having a certain finger length.
Yeah.
So why even look at the fingers in the first place then?
Well, because it's still a piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Even though they didn't find, like, a direct cause and effect link.
Yeah.
The correlation between finger length and jealousy is still something worth exploring,
I see. It's not the whole story, but it's still interesting.
Right. There might be some subtle biological factors at play that we just don't fully grasp yet.
So what else did they find? Any other juicy tidbits?
This one is interesting.
Okay.
The study found that people who'd already experienced sexual infidelity in the past actually reported feeling less sexually jealous.
Seriously. You'd think it'd be the other way around.
Right. You'd think they'd be more worried about it happening again, not less.
Exactly.
But it's almost like they'd kind of become desensitized to it.
So past experiences can change how we react to things like jealousy.
Absolutely. Our emotions aren't static,
It's like our emotional responses have their own memory. This is heavy stuff.
It is, and this is just the beginning.
What? There's more.
Oh, yeah. Way more.
Okay, well, stay tuned for part 2, where we'll dive even deeper into these surprising findings about jealousy, infidelity, and the secrets hidden in your very own fingers.
Yeah, it's like they've been through it before, so they're not as fazed by it.
Right. Like they've kind of already weathered the storm.
Exactly. And there's more. This study had another twist. When participants were reminded of past infidelity, right before answering the questions about jealousy, well, the differences in how men and women responded became even more pronounced.
Hold on, you're telling me that just thinking about past infidelity actually made the jealousy differences even bigger?
It seems that way. It's like those memories, even old ones,
Yeah.
can still have this strong impact on how we react in the present.
Okay, so we've got finger length, we've got past experiences, and now even memories all playing a role in jealousy. Man, this is getting complicated.
It is a lot to unpack.
I know. But before we move on, I gotta ask, Did the study look at whether men and women, cheat differently?
They did, actually.
Yeah.
And the findings are pretty interesting.
Oh, really? Tell me more.
Well, first off, when it came to emotional cheating,
Uh-huh.
the study found no real difference between men and women.
So both men and women were equally likely to, get emotionally involved with someone outside their relationship.
Yeah, basically.
Interesting. But what about when it comes to, the physical stuff?
Well, that's where things get a little more complicated.
Okay.
The study found that more men reported having been cheated on by their partners than women.
Really? That's kind of surprising.
Right. You usually hear about men being the ones more likely to stray.
Exactly. This goes against everything I thought I knew.
It definitely challenges the stereotypes, and the difference was even bigger when it came to partners cheating both emotionally and sexually.
Whoa, double whammy.
More men reported experiencing that double whammy than women.
So not only were men more likely to say they'd been cheated on, but they were also more likely to say it was both emotional and physical infidelity.
Exactly.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
It is, and the researchers didn't really go into why this might be the case, but
Yeah.
it definitely opens up some questions for future research.
Yeah, is there something different about how men and women even define infidelity?
Right.
Or maybe men are just more likely to suspect it even if it hasn't happened.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, infidelity is a really subjective experience,
Right.
What might be a deal breaker for one person might not even register for another.
So it's like we've got biology, we've got personal experiences, and we've even got societal norms all kind of mixed up together,
It's all tangled in.
influencing how we experience and react to jealousy.
Definitely a complex interplay of factors.
And this study is really just scratching the surface.
There's so much more to uncover.
I'm hooked. This whole finger length thing has blown my mind.
It's pretty fascinating.
I can't wait to see what other hidden connections are out there.
Me too.
Okay, before we wrap up part 2,
Yeah.
I have to bring up this classic idea from evolutionary psychology, that men are more bothered by sexual infidelity and women by emotional infidelity.
Right.
Did this study, back that up?
It did, even in Norway, which, is known for its gender equality. The study found that men were consistently more distressed by the thought of their partner having sex with someone else,
Makes sense.
while women were more bothered by the idea of their partner, forming a deep emotional bond with someone else.
So even in a society that's more equal in a lot of ways, those primal instincts about jealousy still seem to hold true.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they even looked at whether experiencing infidelity in the past would change those responses, but it didn't. Men who had been cheated on were still more bothered by sexual infidelity than women who'd been cheated on.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it's like those evolutionary pressures are so deeply ingrained that even personal experience can't completely erase them.
Fascinating.
I know. All right, well, this has been one heck of a deep dive.
It has.
We've uncovered some truly surprising findings about jealousy, infidelity, and, the mysteries of our own fingers.
Definitely.
But we're not done yet. Stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore what all this means for you and your relationships.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about how deep those evolutionary roots run,
It's like, are we really in control of our own emotions, or are we just puppets of our ancient ancestors? It's deep, man.
It is. So much going on under the surface.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about finger length, jealousy, infidelity, evolutionary psychology, even memories.
A lot to think about.
What does it all mean for us in the real world, though?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah. Can we actually use this information to improve our relationships, or what?
I think so.
Okay, good.
I think the biggest takeaway here is that jealousy is complicated.
Right.
There are so many different factors at play.
Like what?
It's not just our biology, It's not just our past experiences.
Right.
It's also about our personalities. Yeah. Our values, the specific dynamics of our relationships.
So you're saying there's no easy answer?
Exactly. Everyone experiences jealousy in their own way.
That makes sense. But knowing all this stuff about, finger lengths and evolution, does that actually help us understand our own jealousy better?
I think it can.
Okay, how?
One of the coolest things about this research is it makes us more aware of our own emotional responses,
Okay.
Instead of just reacting automatically when we feel jealous, we can actually stop and ask ourselves why we're feeling that way.
So it's like being more in tune with ourselves.
Exactly. And once we understand what's triggering those jealous feelings,
Hmm.
we can figure out better ways to deal with them
Makes sense.
and communicate better with our partners.
So this whole deep dive has actually given us some practical advice.
Yeah, it's not all just theory and research, you know?
That's awesome. Any other words of wisdom before we wrap things up?
Just remember that jealousy is normal.
Okay.
It doesn't mean you're a bad person or that your relationship is falling apart.
Right.
It's just a sign that something you care about is at stake.
And that we need to pay attention.
Exactly.
And this has been an incredible deep dive.
It really has.
We've explored some seriously fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
I hope everyone listening has learned something new about themselves along the way.
Me too.
And to all our listeners out there, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the Unlock Your Mind podcast for more mind-blowing deep dives into human behavior.
See ya next time.
I'll catch you next time.